Today on Must Play, take a pit stop on your way to Tucson and play golf in a giant pit. We're talking about Quarry Pines in Marana, Arizona, a beautiful golf course that plays into an actual quarry. I'm Sean Massey,
I'm TJ Van Gunten.
and our guest this week is Camiren Huth, a brilliant golf photographer who goes by at Cam1Ren on Instagram and just played with us on our recent trip to Tucson. Camiren, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Before I get into the course, just real quick, your portfolio of work is pretty impressive. I've seen some of the golf photography you've done, even for like the LPGA. How good did it feel though to capture a swing like TJ's on camera?
I've shot it's not the worst. Let's just say that to
Hell
start
yeah.
with,
Hell
it's
yeah.
definitely not the worst. Um,
Nice.
I
I
appreciate that.
I I will say on the topic of that, there is a picture I posted. I forgot who it was. Is one of you guys, and it was on. You can visibly see the ball just really low, and then it looks like it's just going all the way to the right side. Uh, and there was one person that commented on it, and it was Jeff Marsh, and he asked me, it's like, where exactly is
Of
that ball
course.
going? And I'm like, into a literal quarry.
Yep.
Of course,
That
another
ball.
photographer
Yeah.
could see where that ball was headed.
Also,
Oh yeah,
considering
that's probably the first thing he noticed was
Yeah.
ball not where it should be.
yeah. Considering who we were playing with that day, it was Sean, who's the lefty, and then our other buddy Jeff, who is also a lefty. If that ball was veering very hard to the right, I'm gonna go just hand up and get ahead of this one. That was me, dog.
Figures.
Yeah. Um. Anyways, Cam, it was actually a blast getting to meet you and play this course for the first time. I noticed playing with you, you have a really good eye for the right shot. And you had your camera out there, but I was going to ask you, how hard is it to play a typical round if you don't bring the camera out? Do you ever do that?
I'd say most of the time I don't have a camera out
Oh, okay.
there unless I have the intention of shooting it, or it's like a new course or uh certain people I'm golfing with that I want to take pictures of. But if I'm just going out to play golf, I usually don't have a camera. But when I do shoot and play golf at the same time like that, um, I tend to play better golf. So
Hmm.
I do really enjoy it. And I think it's just because I'm not having to think about my golf swing or any of that while I'm shooting and playing. I'm more focused on capturing a shot. So
Yeah.
that probably has a lot to do with it.
That's funny because I think Scott PNW golfer said the opposite. I think he said he's a terrible golfer, and he also said that he's like, do not count on me to like actually play holes. Like, count on me to probably disappear for like 2 to 3 holes at a time while I just take the camera and leave you.
Especially at
So
golden hour, which is kind of like what happened to
And
us
that
coming around the
happens.
end.
yeah,
Yeah, that happens. Like I was just at Stone Canyon in Oro Valley last week, and that was with the intention of I had my camera, but with the intention of playing the whole course and just taking pictures throughout. And it got to a point in the round where just the views were so good, the light was so good that I would just hit a ball here or there as like an approach shot and then just pick it up right after. And I was like, yeah, don't worry about me, guys. I have my camera. I'm good. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it happens.
Okay. Well, transitioning to the course, was this your first time playing Quarry Pines when you went out with us?
Yeah, I think that might have been my first time ever playing in Tucson,
Oh,
actually.
wow. So,
Yeah.
what were some of your first impressions? What do you think?
Uh, cool views. Never seen views like that before. Just being surrounded by a quarry. I remember one time there was a hole when we were out there, and I remember I don't know who it was standing right against the wall of the quarry, and I was like, "Hey, turn around and look behind you." And I've never seen just a huge rock wall on a golf course like that.
Yeah,
Mountains, yeah, but I mean that was just a flat 90-degree wall. It was cool to see.
yeah. I know right before we got on air, we talked about the prices as well. Like that was one thing I thought about was it seemed relatively affordable for what it was. Oftentimes out here, as you know, you live here in the valley, the price is dictated either by the location the conditions are usually good at most courses, but also the views. They know they're going to get
Mhm.
you for a price because you've seen it and you want to go play it. And this is like one of the courses that didn't fit that mold. I was like, wow, they're only charging like that much for this. Like this is a unique experience. I never thought that it made sense. Front nine and back nine, completely different vibes and feelings.
So much.
Which there's a reason about. I'll get into the history section, but yeah, that was like my first impression was like the two nines were way different, but fun. Looking forward to the Quarry when it came to the back nine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. The price was definitely on point, and I've heard I haven't golfed much in Tucson, like I said, but I've heard that um that's pretty normal to see those cheaper tee times, especially this time of year, just because of it being in Tucson and less people down there. Um, but I loved it. It definitely made me come back just for the price alone. The fact that you can get those views for well under $100 this time of year, that's unheard of in the
Yeah,
Scottsdale, Phoenix area.
yeah. TJ, your first impression?
Yeah, the from the research that we had done before we went out and played, it's pretty much go wait till the back nine, wait till the back nine, wait till the back nine the whole time. Like your front nine is your pretty standard. Or I mean I won't call it standard, but it's pretty straightforward when it comes to your desert golf.
Yeah,
Nothing really to like scream home about, but the back nine takes you on a crazy ride that's so different than what you're used to ever seeing. That it was it was something that like I was like I could play this nine every day because you could play a lot of those holes significantly differently if you are hitting driver well that day. You can cut the corner on a handful of the valleys and get across them. Um, but yeah, I did not have on our bingo card to drive down to Tucson for an episode of Must Play here anytime soon. But then when I found out that we could actually go play in a quarry, I know there's a few options here in Southern California, but also I just happened to be in town during the holiday, so we figured let's go do something that we all haven't done that was a little unique, you know?
yeah. You mentioned driver too. This course made me feel like you just need to pick whatever club is your straightest club, in the back nine especially, and just
Yeah,
hit because like there were a lot of narrow fairways, and maybe it was more of the like eye test of the cliff on the sheer side of the left just going down 100 feet and being
Mhm.
like, I don't want to do that. But the holes were not like short. Like they called for driver, but I kept hitting three wood more often than I did driver just because I knew I was going to keep that in bounds, which I,
yeah.
I do like that. I like having that challenge.
I hit a lot of 5-iron that day, a ton.
Yeah.
I think the only times I actually ever hit driver that day, I either put them OB or they were like weird snappy whippy balls that only went out like 125 yards and it hit a fairway. Sure, check that box off as a fairway hit, but it's not one that's fun on a par four where you have a 260-yard approach shot, right?
Yeah.
So it ended up being a lot. I remember the back nine was a lot of 5-iron off the tee. It would be like par four would be like 5-iron 6-iron, like a lot of like 5-iron 6-iron or 5-iron 5-iron. But again, if you have as Sean likes to call it sometimes a second serve, a safe driver shot that can change how you're going to play those holes drastically
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Yeah, I don't remember you taking out a driver on any tee box ever.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think it was. I want to say it was like hole 6 on the front nine. I hit driver and I hit it way OB and hit that giant water tower. And we waited for it to make that noise on the water
Oh
tower.
yeah.
And then I reloaded and tried to hit another one and put
Yeah,
another
I think
one.
you hit that one over.
And I think I hit that one over the water tower. Like I hit that ball
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
worse. And that was the last time that the driver came out of the bag that day. I said, it's not gonna work for me today, dog. So
That water tower though was a really satisfying sound. There was that like that
oh
delay and the thung.
yeah. It had a nice echo and it's significantly better than
Yeah.
hitting somebody's house hearing that thud.
Well, we mentioned the two nines being very different. Do you guys want to learn about why they're different, or do you want to hazard any guess right now as to why you think they're different? Obviously, besides one going into a quarry.
I was going to be like, well, one's entirely built in an abandoned quarry, so that would be a pretty
Yeah.
good start.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the whole thing would be in a quarry if maybe the quarry's unfinished, and so they just
Mm.
have half in a quarry, half not.
That's a good theory. You can get into
I,
it.
I I would like to think that one was built as a 9-hole course before
Oh,
it
that's
was
a
a
good
full
one.
18.
Yeah,
Nope, that's not the
Damn.
case, but
that's a
typically
good
that
guess.
would have been the case. A lot of my history sections start with like it starts as a 9-hole and then it turns into an 18.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into history though, we're going to hear more about our sponsor for today's episode, Braun and Fox.
Today's episode of Must Play is sponsored by Braun and Fox. Braun and Fox offers premium golf hats, towels, and more that were born by their founder's vision to combine a classic golf look with a new, innovative style, all while remaining affordable. And speaking of remaining affordable, Braun and Fox is giving a 15% off discount to all new customers. Just visit braunandfox.com/fairwagers. That's BRAWNANDFOX.com/fairwagers to claim your discount today.
All right, let's jump into the history of Quarry Pines. If we're going to talk about Quarry Pines, then we first need to talk about the actual housing development around it called Continental Ranch. So Continental Ranch was the first master plan community in Marana, which is 20 minutes north of Tucson. The development stemmed from a lot of land that was basically acquired by the Dow Chemical Company. If you're a kid who went to school in Arizona, you probably remember that commercial because you were forced to sit through some of those. But this whole land, it goes along the Santa Cruz River. And this land was actually perfect for mining. And a company called Kiewit Materials opened a quarry there to produce sand and gravel for construction projects. But the land where Continental Ranch sits today, adjacent to the quarry, was eventually acquired by famous Valley businessman Charles Keating Jr., best known for the savings and loan scandal of the 1980s. In 1987, when Marana was only 10 years old, Keating persuaded the Marana Town Council to annex 2,100 acres of Continental Ranch. Pima County created and approved this master development plan, and it was considered solid by the government officials and citizens. Now, side note, can either of you think of another master plan community that this guy also did in Mesa that also ends in ranch and has a golf course?
Augusta.
No, there is an Augusta Ranch out here, but that is not the one.
Oh,
TJ?
It's gonna be a flashback to episode 1. It's Dobson Ranch.
Dobson Ranch.
oh,
So there's a connection between Quarry Pines and Dobson Ranch. Same guy basically started housing communities with golf courses.
Crazy.
But in 1989, Keating's American Continental Corp., along with his Lincoln Savings and Loan Company, went bankrupt. And Keating was charged with multiple crimes and eventually spent more than 4 years in prison. And the federally supervised Resolution Trust Corp., who oversaw this, basically liquidated all of his holdings. And so the land sat dormant for a few years until a company called Southwest Value Partners purchased it in 1992 for pennies on the dollar. So Southwest parceled off super blocks to the home builders who began to build tracts of homes around this quarry, but they were also interested in building a golf course at the time to go with these new homes that were being built. So construction was soon underway on a Scottish-style links course that would be called the Links at Continental Ranch. Designed by Brian Huntley, this 6,950-yard par 72 layout was unique for Arizona at the time because it had pot bunkers, rolling hills, native grasses, and it also went right along the 10 freeway. The Links at Continental Ranch opened in December of 1997 and was loved by locals and visitors alike, partly because it ran along, but not yet in, the edge of a large sand and gravel quarry, which was up to 100 feet deep. Didn't last long, though, because after being open for barely 2 years, the Links at Continental Ranch was about to change due to the quarry just closed, and the course owner had a crazy idea. The town of Marana received a proposal from the course owner to reclaim the neighboring quarry, renovate the course that was only a few years old, and bring in over 1,000 pine trees to transform Link-style Continental Ranch into what would now be called the Pines Golf Club of Marana. So to complete the transformation of a course that was only 2 years old, the property owner had to really sell the homeowners too, and the town of Marana, that he could create something that was even more special than the course that existed, by moving 10 holes from the original course into the quarry for a spectacular routing that would traverse elevation changes and have huge rock walls along many of the holes, like we just talked about. He also agreed, as part of the deal, to build a nature trail that went along the river and donate it to the town of Marana, thereby allowing local residents to enjoy the Santa Cruz River on one side and see dramatic views into the golf course on the other. On top of this, people could still play the course, the full 18, while the new 10 holes were being built. That was the kicker. Basically, this course will be open while we build these spectacular 10 holes down in this quarry, and then it's going to be renamed, and essentially the routing would then go from front nine to this new back nine that was being built. So to answer my question from earlier, it was essentially the same course, but now there was just a whole new section being built. So after renovation was completed and the Pines Golf Club of Marana reopened in October 2003, golfers were shocked at how good it came out. The course now played just 6,496 yards from the gold tees to a par of 71, a course rating of 70 and a slope of 130, much of which can be attributed to the back nine in the quarry, but the course was unlike anything else in Arizona at the time. This is from a local newspaper at the time. This would have been an ugly hole in the ground forever, says general manager and course designer Dave Graham. And now I don't think anyone can call it that, and certainly not an ugly golf course. Back in February, I was taking my practice swings on over 1 million tons of ugly dirt, and now the course looks nearly as good as my swing. This was an open, vast art canvas with nothing here, and now this is the end result. I'll never create something as good as this in my lifetime. I never say never, but in this case, I'm saying never. So today, it's of course known by its new name, Quarry Pines, which changed later on. And it's a fitting name, but it undersells the uniqueness of the course just a bit, in my opinion. You can definitely tell that the front nine and the back nine came from different visions and even course designers. But if you've never been or if you've been thinking about visiting, it's time to experience this fun golf course that just so happens to be in a giant pit.
Well done, Shawn. As always, a very thorough history. One, I prefer some of the other names that they had before Quarry Pines. I think Quarry Pines is just a little too it's a little too straightforward. B, every time I talked about Quarry Pines and getting someone to come play with us on our Instagram stories, everyone always thought I was saying Torrey Pines. And I know, yes,
Yeah.
I live in San Diego, so I have a ton of followers who live in San Diego. So sure, easy to mistake. So I don't know why you would do that and be so close to something else. Secondarily, you talked about 10 holes being in the quarry.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the entire back nine, as we've discussed, that's spoken for. Would we assume that hole 2 is the other one that is in the quarry? That
No, it's
no?
hole one. Hole one. So, on that whole hole, the entire left side of the fairway has the little ridge, and there's the quarry that starts right there, and you can kind of see hole 10 from hole one.
Yeah.
That's the 10th hole that was designed.
Okay. I was thinking it was 2 just because of the elevation change in 2 that you're hitting down into the quarry. But I never touched any of that side of the hole. I just stayed OB up the whole right side.
Cool. All right. So, Cam, I think it's time for you to kick us off here. We usually cover our goods and bads about the course. Anything off the top of your mind that you'd like to cover that you think was like a pro in that column for the course? We touched on price, but it could be other stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean the price is a big one. Um, I mean the price, and then also I think a plus is that it's not. I don't think it's technically in the city of Tucson. It's like right before. It's like more like an hour and a half from Phoenix or so.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a plus. Like you get to save like 30 minutes because you're not driving into Tucson. Yeah, so I think the location's also a plus. And yeah, like you said, it's right off of the whatever freeway that is. So it's
Yeah.
super easy to get there. And yeah, I'd say that's a big plus.
Yep.
I would
TJ?
say in addition to not only the very affordable price, Southern California is spoken for when a course is very well priced and is not an absolute dump, it's full all the time. But from everything that I can tell about Quarry Pines, it is not packed because it's a little bit out of Phoenix or it's a little bit out of Tucson. Like the availability to book a tee time is very wide open, which I mean, maybe my opinion is thoroughly skewed because of Southern California's very bleak amount of tee times, period. But that's
Well, maybe this podcast is going to help it get some more tee times on the sheet. But
right. Maybe we'll be
I can wish.
we'll pass it, and then it'll start to fail by the time that next year
Yeah.
comes around.
Yeah, I wish we had that impact. But also, I think because of there's not a ton of signage for the course when you're going down the 10, and you're flying down the 10 usually on the way to Tucson. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if I hadn't had GPS on looking for this course, it would be very easy to pass this course.
You know,
Mm.
you see it. You see, I think it was 7 that you see, or was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, along the freeway.
I think it's 7 that's right along the 10 that you can see. And
Yeah.
I like it. It always reminds me of in my brain when you drive from Phoenix to San Diego or vice versa. There's like a place out in the middle of nowhere that's like attached to an RV park. That's a golf course, and I always
I've wanted
drive
to play
past it.
that course
I
every time.
When I just drove back from Phoenix last week after this trip, I looked at my fiance and I was like, one of these days we're gonna leave early, and if we don't have the dog in the car with us, I'm stopping and I'm playing this golf course. Or if when I do a trip by myself, I was like, I have to stop and play this golf course sometime because it also looks like it's in not bad shape for being out in the middle of the desert. Which come
Mhm.
to find out that courses that are out in the middle of nowhere don't get played all the time, so they don't get chewed up. But
Is that the one by
Mm.
like Dateland or whatever?
yes,
But
it's like
yeah,
between Dateland and something else, and I see it every time, and I'm like, I want to play that golf course. And there's
yeah,
always people on it. I always see like a handful of carts out there on it. I mean, obviously, I'm usually driving on the weekends, but I'm always like, I want to play that golf course. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people who probably do that when they drive past Quarry Pines, when they drive back and forth from Phoenix to Tucson, and be like, I wonder what golf
yeah,
course that is, because it's not very golf course esque to put a giant billboard on the freeway and say, come play Arizona's only Quarry golf course, Quarry
yeah.
Pines, like big flashing
I
lights.
I will say maybe this plays into the reason why it's such good value. Um, I in my pros, I had great value for the shop variety and for the views. Um, the staff seemed pretty down to earth and friendly. I mean, there were some characters at the cart barn, but they were funny. But everyone else seemed like really chill, down to earth. The back nine, obviously, very unique to the area and Arizona.
Mhm.
Um, I'll just run through the rest of my pros here. I had tough test on some holes, which I like. I like having like this hole calls for this shot. I forget which hole it was in the quarry, but the one that we posted on our teaser recently of us like hitting down into a fairway. Then from that fairway, there's an ending zone, and you have to hit up to a green. I like that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of options to like warm up short game. So there was like 2 putting greens, 2 chipping greens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there wasn't like a range. There were nets, but I did like the short game areas. And then it wasn't too far from the valley, like Cam said. It was like 90 minutes to get there from my place, which was great. So
Mhm.
that was a pro for me too.
Yeah, I would think that if you're regularly doing the drive to Southern Dunes, this is one that you could easily put on the list, and you wouldn't necessarily feel like it was like that much longer
Yeah,
to get to.
I could see that.
I mean, it's still. This was one of my cons. Was it still fell into the somewhat boring flat Arizona drive? It's not like the Elk Ridge Drive in Portland, where it's an hour or it's an hour 30, but it's so scenic. It's on the Columbia River Gorge,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
all this cool stuff. It's like, no, man. Sadly, it's not even like the 90-minute drive up into like Sedona or anything. I think also Sedona's probably only like an hour, but like the drive into Sedona is very scenic, and you get a lot of like trees and the red rocks and all this stuff. And it's like, nah, this drive down to Tucson or Marana in this case is pretty boring. It's pretty
yeah,
flat. It's pretty gray. You're not going to get a lot of change.
yeah. Any other pros though before we get into the cons?
Cam,
uh, I mean, you guys had food. How was the food? I didn't have any.
Mine was
Was
good.
it
I
good?
had a wrap, a chicken Caesar wrap, and it was really good.
yeah, I had a breakfast
Oh wait,
burrito. You did have food.
I did. I did have food. I had chicken tenders. Yeah, I had chicken tenders. The chicken tenders are really good. Now that okay, I'm remembering. The chicken
my
tenders are really good. Highly recommend.
my boy had nuggies. They were delicious.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. If
Yeah.
you Yeah, we'll take guesses for Cam's age down in the comments by his chicken tenders and French fries order.
And we have the same birthday.
We do. Very strangely, Cam was telling me that he was making a trip out to Rams Hill for his birthday in February, and I said, "No shit. Well, when's your birthday in February?" He's like, "Well, I'm going to Rams Hill on February 8th and February 9th." I said,
Yeah.
"That when your birthday?" He said, "No, my birthday's February 5th." I was like, "Oh, that's my birthday." So,
And here's your
birthday
guess:
twins.
we are 12 years apart. So do
Oh,
the math, and that's how old I am.
That's true. That's true. I did. But I will say, humble brag to myself, you did not think that I was 12 years older than you.
No, none of you guys. You guys
there
all
was a
look
pause there. I don't know
very
about
good. Very good. Yeah.
Um,
I was trying to
but
figure
yeah,
out how I could compliment you without sounding too weird, but you
no,
guys all look very good.
that's. Hey, I started the self compliment. You can just piggyback off of it.
that.
But pros about the golf course. I mean, I can't say enough cool things about the back nine. It is an experience that if you only play golf in Arizona, or probably if you only even play, I don't know how many quarry courses there are in America. But it's
Not
so
many.
cool. Not many. I know. I think there's one or two in Southern California. I think I saw somebody talk about one over in Florida that's private.
Uh,
Sean?
Weird fun fact about this: Brian Huntley, the guy that designed the links at Continental Ranch before it was a quarry,
Okay.
had designed one of the other quarry courses in Ohio, and he didn't get to design this one into the quarry, but he had
Interesting.
prior experience of building a quarry course in Ohio. So kind of random, but
He had to have wanted it and was hoping that he would get it, or say, you know what, this quarry's going to shut down someday, and they're going to call me back and say, hey, Brian,
yeah,
it's time, and he's going to be like sick, and then he didn't get it. But
yeah,
yeah, I like it. The back nine is probably one of those things where I could honestly play it every day, and I don't know if I would get sick of it, because
yeah,
it just because there is that much of a shot variation, and it's not it wasn't all gimmicky. It wasn't all just like
yeah.
elevation, super high elevation par 3, super high elevation par 4, super high elevation par 5. Like, it wasn't like we just kept driving up and down for each hole to go up higher and then hit down again. Like, there was a lot of cool shots in there.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone else?
Oh, I think the last thing I didn't even mention it. I had a breakfast burrito and it was phenomenal. And I had it before the round and it was very good.
Are we
So yeah,
talking good or are we talking bad parts about the course? Because I only have
well,
one bad part.
We're switching over to cons now, so
let's
feel
hear it.
free.
Lay it on us, Cam.
And honestly, my bad part goes on top of the good part, they're basically the same thing. Of it's an hour and a half from Phoenix. That is my con of the course. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got, really. Yeah, I thought, yeah, prices of the tea time were great, and the food and drinks were great. Course great. Yeah, just an hour and a half from
Yeah,
Phoenix.
it's a little bit of like the chicken or the egg type situation, where it's like, is the price and the availability really good because it's an hour and a half, or does it actually
Yeah,
have like good availability and good price?
yeah,
Is it wide open, and is it a fast play because no one's ever out there? But that's because it's an hour and a half from Phoenix. But it's not that far out of Tucson. Like, it was, I think it was, like you said, it was 15-20 out of Tucson.
15, 20 minutes max. Yeah,
Yeah, if
But
you
yeah,
live in Tucson, it's a no-brainer.
yeah.
That should be the course you visit on a daily basis.
I would totally go play
I
this.
yeah.
I would play this course next time I have a trip down to Tucson. Like, just budget in the time to go stop
hmm
here and then make my way into town.
yeah. Or if
Making
you're
my way
somebody who,
downtown.
also, if you're a person who like lives in Arizona and you, if you're a
Got him.
person, no,
Got him.
damn. If you're a person who like lives in Arizona and plays just a ton of the same courses like all the time, or you realize that a lot of Arizona golf is very similar to each other, like, this is a really good change of pace. Like, if you're someone who will regularly block out some time and go out and play Gold Canyon, this is another one that you could probably add on to that as like, hey, it's just a little bit further of a drive. What I will say is that you don't have to get to the course 2 hours early because there is no driving range. That's a con for me. Uh,
Yeah,
you can get to the course an hour beforehand, grab food, and grab and chip and putt and be ready to go. They do have hitting nets currently. So they have like a Gratch Pass out there that I believe used to be a hitting range. And they've got a handful of hitting nets out there. So you can get warm or get loose, but you're not going to see really how the ball's flying that day. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to know if your cut is cutting or if your slice be slicing.
It sounds like you did
Hitting.
some research and they haven't had that open for a few years.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research. It sounds like the driving range has been closed for a few years. They're hoping to get it open. I think their goal is probably by next season, so probably hopefully by 26, but not on the top of the priority list, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
Of course. Could change though. Could change.
I had that as one of my 4. My other cons were front 9, very familiar to every course around me, just kind of that flat. Like I hear link style and stuff, and I get that, but like there's so many other courses that kind of match that feel on the front 9. 2, I didn't see any merch I was going to buy in the pro shop. Maybe it's because I'm a Sun Devil and I just don't like U of A stuff. I know, TJ, that rings true for you as well. But I just didn't really see much. But I mean, it was all right there. Very small pro shop, but easy to get around. And then my last one was I didn't feel like there was a good post round scene there. I wouldn't stay at that bar / restaurant inside. The TV was playing court TV, like it was just Judge Judy type stuff, and like, I don't want to stick around, have that on TV, and like it just didn't give me that vibe of like, let's have a beer afterwards. We went to a really cool pizza place afterwards, like that wasn't far away, but that is a con in itself that I wasn't willing to buy one beer at the course afterwards.
Yeah, shout
Do you
out.
remember what was sitting in the windowsill by one of the tables while we were ordering food? Does anybody want to comment on that?
I don't actually. I don't know if Shawn was there. I think it might have been me, you, and Jeff Cam, but there was a bottle of moisturizer just sitting in one of the windowsills.
Big
Unfortunately,
one, like a Costco size tub of lotion just sitting right there in the windowsill.
Interesting.
I think it was just a classic old golfer trope. Some guy's been grinding. He's got those cracked old callous hands, and he's got to get them a little moisturized before the round, and maybe
hit a few too many balls into the practice net before his round, and
you're just waiting to hit one that feels good, right? And you can't tell if they're actually flying good. You got to wait for one that feels good.
True.
Yeah, Shawn, I had a similar thing. I had a lackluster pro shop. And then, not the best post round patio vibes we've been, or we've had at a course. Shout out to, I believe it was Casa Morena around the corner, which was the pizza place and beer shop.
Casa
Marana. Sorry, pronunciation. But the pizza, they have like a nice wood fired pizza oven in there, and it was definitely fresh handmade pizza. We liked everything that we had there, and an incredible beer selection. I know Cam had some faux pas on the golf course on the beer selection where he accidentally ordered a 2.5% beer while we were out on the golf course.
Yeah, it should come with a warning label.
It should have a big. It's like what they're doing with cigarette packs nowadays. It should have like a big sticker on it that just says, "This won't get you drunk."
Yeah, warning. Won't get drunk.
And it was more expensive than the typical beer, so double whammy. But lesson learned. I won't hold that against them. I hold that against myself for not reading,
for being less observant.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into the must play tests? See if this is truly must play. Okay. Before we get into the tests, we're going to hear once again from our sponsors for today's episode, Braun and Fox.
No doubt about it. Shawn and I absolutely love the Braun and Fox hats. We just got our second round of hats. I went with this baby powderish blue rope hat. And then Shawn, I think you picked up one of the rope hats as well, but you've been absolutely loving the olive hat that you got the first time from them. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wearing this every day out here in the Arizona summer, and the sweat stains that usually come from every hat have not shown on this. It's held up really well. I've actually shelved the other hats that I typically wear out into the course, and I've just been wearing this. So I don't know what they did in there, but it's working, and this hat's been one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely love them. And they also just dropped 5 new hats. I think they actually came out this week. I think they called them like their 9/11 collection, just in honor of 9/11. They dropped 3 new hats in partnership with Folds of Honor in Tennessee. So that's got their logo on there. There's some cool colors that they haven't done previously. And then they've done 2 new American flag styles of hats, like an all white one with a white rubber patch on it. That's an American flag. And then they've done a darker, like foresty olive green. Shout out to Alex Diaz. He'll probably want to buy that hat. If you know anything about Alex, he loves forest green. So head over to their website. We'll repeat it as it was at the top of the show. BRAWNANDFOX.com/fairwagers to go take a look at those and claim your 15% off discount today.
Let's get into the must-play tests. TJ and I have devised an objective test of 10 questions here to determine if a golf course is truly a must-play. It has to score a 6 out of 10 to be up for debate, or a 7 out of 10 or higher to automatically earn coveted must-play status. 5 out of 10 or lower, we're calling should-plays. So question 1, the Augusta test. Is this course easy to get a tee time on? Does it have a straightforward booking process? And are there tee times available the week of your intended play? I think we're all going to say pass for this one.
It's a definite pass, but I want to issue a challenge here. I want this course. We will not derank it, or we will not take a point away from it, but I want this course to become a fail on the Augusta test.
Yeah.
I want to see a course that we pass turn into a fail due to its exposure from us potentially doing the podcast, or people finding out about it and it getting a little bit more exposure. I think this is a course that the back nine warrants people going and playing more. So I'd love to see people be like, oh, we used to be able to get onto Quarry Pines all the time, and we just had to make the drive, and now we can't even do that.
Maybe one day we'll have that influence. I don't know if we have it yet.
Sean,
but
I'm speaking it into
projecting.
existence.
I get it. You're speaking into existence.
You're trying to turn it into like the abandoned dunes of Tucson, where you have to wait until 2027 to get a tee time.
Interestingly, same company that owns Pacific Dunes and Quarry Pines.
Mm-hmm.
So
isn't that Dream Golf Resorts?
Dream Golf owns most of it, but Kemper actually manages Pac Dunes and Quarry Pines.
Oh, see, learn something new every day.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. We're saying pass for question 1. So this is 1 for 1. Question 2, the bang for your buck test. Is this golf course worth the rate you pay? Do you feel like this course is a good value during peak season? TJ, what was the rate that you saw when you looked this up?
I think I just looked to play like 9 a.m. on Saturday, and it was only like $79 or $69. It was extremely, I mean, again, I am highly skewed on golf course prices, but I would pay $80 to play this course every day if I could.
Yeah, Cam knows what a deal that is for us here in the Valley. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah, anything under 100 for that is great.
Yeah. I'm a pass for that one too. So, okay, so 2 for 2. Question 3, the Iverson test. Does this course have good practice facilities? Would you spend time warming up or just head for the bar before the round?
We talking about practice? We're not talking about practice. We're talking about the bar. No, I'll say I waffled back and forth on the answer to this question on whether or not I was going to pass it or going to fail it, because I do like the 2 chipping greens. I do like the 2 putting greens. Like that's a nice touch that, you know, those things tend to sometimes get crowded if you've got a crowded tee sheet, or you've got guys who get there 2 hours early and like to hit putts and chips well before their tee time.
2 hours.
I don't know a guy like that, but the no range or no actual range and just the hitting, that's really swings it towards a fail for me. If that, I would say, you know, if we come back in a year and we're re-ranking this and the Augusta test is a fail, but they've got the range fixed, then this is going to be a pass. But until I can actually hit a ball and see what it's doing in the air, I'm going to have to fail this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play a little bit of devil's advocate with that. And the bar isn't really great. It's not somewhere I'd want to hang out at. The range is non-existent. I propose you go inside, grab a beer, then take it outside to then the putting green, and you because you only need one hand to putt, so then you can hold a beer in one hand and then you can putt in the other,
Yeah,
and you enjoy a little warm up drink on the putting green.
I think that's the move. I think that's the move.
That's what I suggest.
But does that mean you're passing or failing this test for posterity? I need
If
to
you
know.
have to if you have to do that, that's a fail.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a
It
fail as
should be
well.
a choice, not like
Yeah.
you have to do this type of thing.
Yeah. We're clear. So 2 for 3. Question 4, the Jonesy test. Could you see yourself spending $100 on merch in their pro shop? Do they have a logo or apparel worth wearing? I'll go first. I don't mind the logo, but I did not see anything I wanted to spend $100 on in that pro shop. $100 can go quick in a pro shop, and generally, if I see a Q-zip, a hat, some other thing, I'm like, oh, I got to have this. I did some looking. I know TJ spent more time looking than I did, but I did not see anything, so I'm gonna fail this one.
Cam.
Uh, yeah, it's a fail, but in their defense, I would say most, especially at least in Arizona, just like most, like smaller public courses like that, they're all gonna fail. That's not a priority to them. So
Yeah,
yeah, nothing against them, but it's a fail.
It is a thing where in Arizona public golf, they're just collecting tee times hand over fist anyway. And
Mm.
that's where like most of the money's gonna come from anyway. They don't have to like have an inspired pro shop to recoup some funds here and there. So I guess I've never really thought about it that way where it's like, oh yeah, we don't have to sell like a ton of merch. It should be like it's a I'm absolutely drawing on what the metaphor is or what the saying that I want to say.
nice.
But yeah, I I will also I'm also gonna fail. I think the logo's okay. It's nothing crazy. I do think it does not fall into the bingo card of Arizona golf course logos. I will say that with it being
Can
a
we pause there? I want to ask Cam. All right, Cam. Assuming you don't know what I picked for this answer, and there's like over 100 courses here in the valley, who do you think has the best logo in Phoenix in the valley?
public.
Public course. Yeah,
Well, it really narrows it down. I'm gonna have
I
to
know.
look at my golf ball wall of logos.
Or give us your top three if you can't narrow it down.
Yeah, or even
I
merch
guess
that you would buy, right?
to think about it, I mean, it's the funny thing is, and I think about it, all the ones that have good logos and good merch happen to usually be resort courses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
uh, Quintero does a pretty good job, although their logo's maybe not my favorite. They do a good job with their selection. Weekopaw has a really good selection, and I
Yeah,
do like their logo. Um, I don't really know. I think the Troon logo is not great. The Boulders not great.
yeah. I agree with
I
you
hope
on
I'm not
Weekly
making any enemies.
No.
Um, yeah, no, I don't. There's really not any that I could think of in Arizona that, like, super stand out to me, I
Okay, let me tell
guess.
you the one I think stands out to me, and tell me if you disagree or not. But Papago, the they have the headband with the feathers, and it's the Native American one, and their pro shop has some of the best merch I've ever seen. I always, when I walk in there, I'm like, "What's new in here?" Um,
Well, you know why the pro
I
shop
guess
is
I
so
kind of
good.
forgot about that because I've never been to Papago,
Oh,
oh
actually.
my god,
change
we got
that.
to get you out
Well,
to
I shot an
Papago.
event on the range before, but never, and then like went to their restaurant, which their new restaurant that they have built there. I don't know how new that is, but
Yeah,
that whole setup they have in their practice area, that's a complete vibe. I could hang out there and just practice and have dinner or whatever all day. It's such a cool place.
Sounds
But
sounds
right
like a
next door,
perfect.
you want to talk about a good pro shop, grass clippings. They know
yeah, they
how
do a
to
good job
do
too.
merch right. I it is so hard not to walk in there and just want to empty out your bank account. Like everything from golf bags to hats, like blankets, like everything, and it's all cool. Like you just want everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Agreed.
I was going to say it sounded we did not plan this, but it sounds like Cam was perfectly plugging sections of our Scottsdale bonus episode where I think both Shawn and Mike talked about spending an evening at Lou's at Papago and just hitting balls with beers out on the putting green there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Perfect vibe. Perfect
Yeah,
vibe.
perfect vibe.
Yeah.
Also, what I was gonna
Why does Papago's merch? Why is it so good, TJ? You were going to say something.
forks up, baby. It is the home course of Arizona State University, their men's golf team, and I think their women's golf team. And a lot of their merch selection is Arizona Sun Devil based. And then also on the flip side, that's why we got to also kind of fail.
Oh, that's not objective.
That's why we got to fail Quarry Pines a little bit. I'm never going to buy stuff from a pro shop that's got a U of A logo on it. I will say I did like a handful of the hats that I saw in there, but I'd have to probably buy about 3 hats to get up to that $100 mark. So I just don't see it happening, you know?
Yeah, agree. That's okay. So we're 2 for 4. We're all in agreement so far.
Yep.
Question 5, the buzzworthy test. Are there multiple holes worth talking about? Does this course have more than one hole that a group would want to go play again? Cam, you want to kick us off?
I'm a bad person to ask about that because I have a hard time remembering like individual holes. Like unless it's really just something crazy and unique, which is it's hard to come by. I have a hard time remembering holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that from my point of view, there wasn't anything like to write home about specifically. Just an
Really?
overall, just the overall vibe and views of being inside of a quarry were just unique.
Okay.
So I'll piggyback off of that because the views are so unique and the vibes out there. It does make me want to go play the whole back 9 all over again. I think
I suppose that's my answer.
yeah, I like I said, there's so many different ways to play those holes based upon how you're hitting the ball that day. If it was a day where my driver felt straight or even had what felt like a predictable miss, you could play, you could play like a nice slice into a lot of those par 4s or par 5s. But instead, sometimes you just got to take a 5-iron off the tee. And I think there's, like I said, I really liked 2 on the front as well. That one was a big drop, and I think admittedly because I played that hole so bad, I would love to have it back and see how I
Yeah.
would play it if I could actually put one out on that left side and then have a good approach shot in, not over a blind hill. So yeah, it's a definite pass for me. I think I've said it more than enough throughout the podcast.
I want hole 11 back. I would want to go play that one again. That's the par 3 over the canyon that
Yeah.
TJ was like one of the only ones on the green. Once you got up on the green, it had a lot of slope to it also. So many different ways I would want to play that hole. And then I think it was hole 16, maybe the par 5 that had like a shot into a fairway that was almost perpendicular to you. And it was a question of how much you want to cut off before you go up.
Yeah.
That one was really, really cool too. So, but yeah, on the back.
That was the one where I brought out driver and finally just said, F it, let's hit driver one last time for today and actually hit one straight, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, so we're TJ and I are in agreement here. We're passing this one. So we are 3 for 5. Question 6, the glizzy test. Does this course have good food at the turn? Are you eating here or packing your own snacks? I'll go first. The breakfast burrito looked good. The wrap I had was really good. Like, very pleasantly surprised. I think they said make sure you order by hole 8 or something like that to make sure your food was ready by the time you made the turn. Mm-hmm. But I didn't mind having to do that. Like, I ate before we went off, and it was really good food. I was actually pleasantly surprised by. And when I say surprised, like, why? The clubhouse and the whole building is very unassuming. It very much like gives me like an outpost type vibe. And then you walk in, and it's like, hey, everyone's really friendly, and like, you got some good beer selection stuff. And then the lady that made us like food like was really, really good. And I was like, huh. Punched above its weight. I wasn't expecting this. Like I thought I was going to get food that matched kind of the visual of the place, and that is a knock on the building. Like it is. I didn't like the look of the building at all. But that's not.
It gives me what's the things that they have at elementary schools where they host like the Scholastic book fairs? are they extensions or what are they
Oh
called?
yeah. Like the trailers that like come
Yeah,
out and they're essentially. Yeah,
it gives me like a temporary building structure type vibe
yeah, a
to
little
it,
bit,
where it's
a
like
little bit.
did somebody build this and it was like not supposed to be the permanent clubhouse and not supposed to be the permanent pro shop, and then but it still is,
Yeah,
and people are like, yeah, it works, we
yeah.
check people in, we feed people, we're good to go.
But
Um,
it passed the food for me.
yeah, my burrito was good selection on beers, everything that you could ask for. Like Sean nailed it when he said it punched well above its weight. I was expecting much less and got much more than what I was anticipating.
Cam, how are the
Yeah,
tendies?
my chicken tendies and the fries were really good. The key is to grab a couple fries with the chicken tender, and then you eat them at once, like a little combo bite. That
Okay.
was uh that was fantastic.
Nice.
I don't know, I could have been really hungry too, but either way, it was really good.
I think Cam was
uh,
the only one who ate at the turn, I think. But he had called it in at 8 and made sure.
yeah,
Which also
yeah,
this was a nice touch. There was a giant menu board at 8.
A
like
huge one, and it had
like a
everything on the menu.
Yeah, it was a massive poster board at 8 because I don't think it was like in the carts at all or wasn't in the GPS. Which also this would be a course where I would not expect GPS to be in the carts. I know we didn't touch on that on pros or cons, but I will
hmm
say I will give it that point. I did not expect GPS to be in these carts, and they were, and that was very nice.
yeah.
But yeah, like shout out for the giant menu board at 8, so that way you know what your options are for ordering, as opposed to calling and being like, "Hey, I wanted to order food," and you're like, "What do you have?" And then it's someone like trying to serve people in the shop and take your order and read off a menu to you.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so 4 for 6. Question 7: the Marshall test. Does this course have a decent pace of play? Can you rely on a relatively quick round here if you had somewhere to be after? Go ahead.
I would
I think
say,
so. I mean, we played in the afternoon, and it was in the afternoon you can expect to maybe wait a little bit. People are going to be playing a little bit slower. I imagine you go in the morning, you'd have no issue. We maybe waited around for like a minute or two at our couple holes, I think, on the back nine,
Yeah,
but we weren't. It was like enough of a wait to where we had enough time to like set up our iRange stick and like start recording videos, but
mhm.
nothing wild.
yep. Go ahead,
Yeah,
TJ.
we really ran into no issues. I know golf courses tend to be like doctor's offices where if you get out there early and they haven't had a chance to get backed up, you can usually avoid it. But the later you go in the day, the more they're just running behind schedule, and that just gets passed on group by group. And I know Sean's laughing because he's never thought of that analogy, but it's a
I've
perfect
never heard of that
analogy.
comparison in my life.
It just makes so much sense in my brain where they're like, oh yeah, if you want to get an oil change or go to the doctors, like go first thing in the morning before they get a chance to like run behind and overestimate how much time things are going to take.
You're not
So
wrong.
yeah, I mean, we ran into no issues that day, and like I said, we talked about availability of tee times. Generally, if the tee sheet's not entirely full, there's going to be some wiggle room. So as long as you are planning in the hour and a half drive from Phoenix, if you're coming from Phoenix and you have budgeted that into when you told somebody you are going to be home, and you, depending upon what time of day, you don't necessarily hit traffic, then there you go. You're good to go. It's a
Yeah.
pass.
Nothing to add. I'm a pass. So
No notes.
no notes. 5 for 7. Might struggle on these next two. Question 8: the high handicapper test. Would a mid to high handicapper enjoy this course in typical conditions? Is it fair to all handicaps, and are the greens or pin positions fair?
I don't know, TJ, what'd you think?
I was gonna say,
I mean,
hold on.
you,
TJ, let me just say, as an observer, it looked tough.
it was tough. it was on top of like the front nine being very traditional desert golf, where occasionally, yeah, your ball is in the dirt, but you can kind of go and see it, and you might still have a chance to whack it out of there. When you get in the back nine and get in the quarry, if you're not on the fairway or the rough surrounding the fairway, you're probably not going to find your ball at all, and you're
Yeah,
just going to have to either, and it's tough too because depending upon how serious your friends are about playing or what they want you to do, you're going to end up hitting a ton of provisionals off the tee because you don't know if you're going to find it when you get down there. And then you walk down there and you get frustrated because you're searching for a ball and it's a ton of bush and whatnot. So yeah, the front nine being kind of targety desert golf is going to be a little rough, and then the back nine's going to be really tough if you're not keeping the ball. And like you said, a lot of those fairways felt like they were really narrow. I wasn't sure if it was the optics of the quarry or what, but a lot of the targets felt like it was like, man, I can't. If I put this thing 20 yards offline, it's dead.
Even the first hole felt like that. The first hole, I felt like that's. I mean, yeah, the fairway had the bowl, so it would roll towards the middle, but it was not that wide of the fairway. You're looking at Corey on the left and Holmes on the right. So I'm a fail too, for what it's worth. Cam?
Yeah, fail.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. 5 for 8. So question 9, the vibes test. Is this course worth staying at post round? Do they have a good restaurant or patio scene? And we kind of just spoke about this. I'm a fail for this one, unfortunately. I just don't think they do. No knock on the food. Just I would not stay there after.
The vibes stay on the 18th green, and that's where they leave.
That's probably a good way of saying it.
One of my general rules of thumb for this question is if we went somewhere else to eat dinner immediately afterwards and didn't even have a beer on the patio, then it's an automatic fail.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did that day. So, yeah.
Okay. So 5 for 9, it has to pass this next question to be up for debate. So question 10, the dime a dozen test. Is this course unique to the area, or could you get this golf experience somewhere else on your trip or visit?
Shawn, was that a Freudian slip?
It was, because I put in notes what my vote is for each of these, so I guess I tipped my hand. I am a pass for this one. It's unique to Arizona. Like, what other courses have a quarry? If it was links at Continental Ranch, I'd probably fail this. But the fact that the owner decided to put 9 into a quarry is like, props to him. He made his vision come true, and it looks really cool. And I think, like I said, I would stop here on my way to Tucson again. So I'm passing this one. Freudian slip.
I also agree.
Yeah. I'm also a pass. I've spoke up and down about the back nine and how cool it is and how it's, the only quarry in Arizona that you're going to play. So it's a definite pass for this.
Okay. So 6 for 10. We're up for debate here. Here's my challenge to both of you guys. Cam, you live here in Phoenix with where I live. TJ, you from here originally. Let's not think of this as a course worth driving from Phoenix. Let's think of this as on its own. Now it's scored a 6 out of 10. Do you think overall this course is a must play? Why or why not? TJ, you want to go first?
We just assume like we live down the street from it.
Sure.
Assume someone's like, I'm going to be in that area. Do you think I need to go play it?
Okay.
Cam, do you want to go first or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. So this is going to be a little tough because I'm going to say myself, I want to go. I want to warm up. I want to have a place where I probably want to have a few bevies after the round, like with the boys. So it's tough because the whole golf course experience is probably not a full must play because of it not passing the vibes test, or maybe me not being pumped to be like, yeah, I'm wearing a Quarry Pines polo. Like, people respect this course, or people know that this course what it is, or people are pumped to go play there or know about it. But from an aspect of, this is the only place that you can go play in a quarry, and there's I don't know the actual numbers, but I would probably say there's less than 30 quarry courses in America. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I know that there's not a ton. Like, please,
quarry experts, please
feel free to, golf course layout experts in America. Please feel free to body bag me in the comments of this or wherever you're listening to it, and tell me that I'm wildly wrong with the number of 30. But you would think that there would be more, because I don't think quarries really have an opportunity to be much else after they are done being a quarry. So you'd think that people would take this opportunity to do stuff like this, but it doesn't happen all the time. So
Yeah.
my hand up my first Quarry experience, but definitely won't be my last. It has me wanting to go play more courses like this. And I would want to go play Quarry Pines if it was close, or if somebody was visiting, I would say, yes, it is a must play.
Okay. Cam?
I think I have a pretty simple answer, but then also a solution of what would make it better, I think.
Okay.
Fair.
Uh, I think it's a must play one time. Especially if you live in Arizona, I think everyone here should play it at least once just to check it out and have the experience. Um, More than that, I don't know if I can call it a must after that, but to make it a course I'd want to keep coming to more, I think they would thrive if it was there's a location where people were able to book, let's just say 9 holes, and they could start on 10, so they can play just the back nine, and they can do that maybe after their round that they already have down in Tucson on their way back. They can get another extra 9 holes in, and they can play all the cool ones. uh I think that would be
Hmm.
a really cool way for them to get more tee times too, and have more people eager to
Mhm.
play it more often.
Or even alternatively, if you did like it's not a shotgun start, but if you started off, if you booked a 9 and you said, hey, we'll run a regular tee sheet starting at 6 a.m. in the morning, but then we can also
Hmm.
start a bunch of 9s on the back 9 at 6 a.m. and have
Yeah.
those people only play through, and you can squeeze a few more rounds onto the tee sheet of what is your main attraction.
And I've seen I forgot what course it is. It's a course out by you actually. A friend told me about that. It's typically like we're talking 200 plus for a tee time in the morning, but they have like a 9 hole rate that's less than half of that, and you're able to go out. They have like a couple tee times designated for 9 holes before the first 18-hole tee time.
Yep.
So then they get in cheaper. They're not in the way of anyone. And then the day starts with full tee times, like nothing ever happened.
Is that
So I
Balboa?
think something like that would be cool. It might be. I was told it was in SoCal. I forgot
Hmm. I know
exactly,
Balboa does the 9-hole tee times out in the morning, I think.
Yeah.
but it's a really cool concept. I've
Yeah.
never seen any other course do that.
Yeah.
Especially like the courses where things may cost a bit more. I think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're must play one time. I don't know if that's
One time.
I don't know where to weigh that on the.
That's like
Let's
a
see.
half,
Okay, half point.
So then, Massey, where are you? You would be, again, the deciding vote on this.
Yeah.
pretty much.
So if I must play, if I pass this, it is. If I fail it, it's not because it didn't earn 2 points.
Correct.
Yep.
I hate ending the podcast with like just a simple reason for why it's must play, because the whole point of the test is to like objectively run it through a 10-question test. But nevertheless, when it gets to 6 out of 10, I then go to my heart. This is so cheesy. But we just published something the other day about my family. But I think about my dad a lot, and he is very stingy on what he chooses to play because he only plays 3-4 rounds a year. So when I coax him out to come play golf, he's like, is it worth it? Like, and it's a very simple answer, yes or no. And when I think about like why it would be worth it for him, it's either amazing value because he doesn't want to pay a lot of money. It's an experience that he hasn't had before. So it's like, oh, he lives in Scottsdale, so he's played all those types of courses and things like that. And for that reason, I would say, yeah, it's a good value for what it is. And you haven't played anything else like that before. So I might be giving it a half point like Cam, saying it is a must play once,
Hey,
which
10
I think
equals
pushes
1.
it over the
So
line for us
Yeah.
as a
yeah,
must play.
that makes it a 2 out of 3. So I think that counts as a point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the must play all the time test. It's is it a must play?
No.
it's
And if that's the case, then I'd say if it's just, yeah, like what you said, it's not a must play all the time, just a must play. So with that being said, I would call it a must play.
there it
Couldn't have
is.
said it
You
better
heard it here
myself.
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sticker/plaque is in the mail once TJ gets those things printed.
Whenever I'm still waiting on somebody to take us up on, if you want a plaque for your pro shop that says that you are a certified must play and you pass the test, you slide in the DMs at Fair Wagers or hit us up on the email and I will make sure that you get one delivered. But I want to see photos of it hanging up in the pro shop.
You hear that, Kemper? Let's do this. All right. So congrats to Quarry Pines. They are a must play. Cam, thank you again, of course, for your time today and joining us. You probably have a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. Anything coming up you want to promote that you have on your profile or some work you have coming up?
Honestly, the most exciting thing coming up would be the PGA show. So
Oh, cool.
have that coming up in like 2 weeks. Gonna go down to Orlando for it's a long time. I think I'm there for 7 days, 6 nights.
Ooh.
Uh, just nonstop golf for an entire week straight. Maybe a little Universal Orlando Harry Potter snuck in there at some
Oh,
point,
very
but
cool.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, really excited for that. And it's if you guys have never been, it's the coolest place ever, and it's the best opportunity to meet all of the people that you've talked to through DM for the past year.
Mhm.
I think we all know how that works with like we talk to so many people, but
Yeah.
like meeting people is hard, and then it it's harder for connections to grow when it's just over a DM. So going there and meeting people in person and face to face, like your relationships just grow so much faster and things move along more quickly. And it's just a really exciting week in golf, I think.
Yeah. Two caveats on that. One, I'm a part of like a bigger like golf creator group on Instagram, and like it feels like half of the group is going to the PGA show, and I have super FOMO not being able to go. Also, the brand that I work for also has a booth that week, and they have like, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have like known. I would have like tried to figure out a way to weasel myself into that booth so that I could also go and meet a bunch of the creators. And same thing, like we had never met Cam before we played at Quarry Pines that day. Like Cam and I had exchanged random messages here and there through DMs and had never put faces to names. Honestly, I'll say it right here. I had to go to Cam's website the morning of our round so that I could see what his face looked like, so that I knew what he looked like when we got to the golf course.
I keep it that way.
I mean, yeah,
It's a
you're
mystery.
as a golf photographer. Yeah, there's not a lot of pictures of yourself. It's not supposed to be that way, right? But yeah, I'm very jealous of your trip to the PGA show because I hear only cool things, and that it's very easy to spend a week at the PGA show just networking, making connections, checking out all the new cool stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, don't be too jealous because unlike everyone else, I mean, I feel like I'm in the small majority of people that are in the situation where like unlike where if you were to go like with who you work with or whatever, they would obviously cover your expenses to go to the PGA show. I am my own boss, so
Yeah,
that is all on me, and it's quite an expensive trip.
yeah,
But if it's anything like it was last year, it's very worthwhile. And um
mhm.
yeah, it's just one of those where you just make it happen and just don't look at how much it costs.
Yeah. Brands and
Yeah.
creators, if
Just
you
get on the
see
airplane.
Yeah, brands and creators. If you see Cam at the PGA show, make sure you say hey and try and line up some business for him so that it's worthwhile for his
Yeah, we
trip.
need some ROI out of this trip.
I need him. I need
Yeah, I'll
him to
be there
break
all
even on this
week.
trip.
Yeah,
All right.
I gotta afford more tee times at Quarry Pines. So
There you
Exactly.
go.
Exactly.
Go for it, TJ.
Sean, am I taking us out? Yeah. As
Yep.
always, we're going to strongly encourage you to get out there and play Quarry Pines for yourself. Establish your own must play rating. This is just our three opinions and what we think is important in a golf course. So get out there, go give it a try. If you're a Phoenician, make that hour and a half drive. We think you won't regret it. If you're in Tucson and you haven't played Quarry Pines and you play golf, really, what are you doing? So you have no excuse outside of outside of where the little bit of a drive. So, and then also if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you happen to be listening or watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate us and subscribe for more upcoming courses, maybe a few little bonus episodes, maybe some new podcast options coming here pretty soon. So yeah, with that, Cam, I want to say thanks again, and Sean,
no
we'll see you
problem.
next time.